Welcome back. Now, you'll probably find at this stage you have your car, your terrain, you can move around in it, and you may or may not have trees, it's up to you, but you're just driving around, spinning things like that. It's not a huge amount to do. So what we need to do is actually enable us to do something on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up a bit like a rally. You've got to go through certain checkpoints to be able to reach your final destination. Now, first things first, we need our checkpoints in. And these are simply going to be cubes. So I'm going to go game object, 3D object, cube, and let's put it in here. I'm going to put it down to ground level, so Y at 0. And then I need to position it to go into one of these gaps. So you see the tools up at the top? If I click on it, I can drag it so that it's roughly in the right place, because I want it that people have to go through this gap to be able to get the checkpoint. You'll notice if I want to zoom into it, I just double click on the name of it. To actually position this correctly, I need to do it in little bits of detail, changing some of the angles. So that's right in the middle of the gap, and I'm going to need to scale it so that it fills. So if I do the Y, it gives it some height, because we might as well have a bit of height in case we jump up, but we still want to go through. And if we change the Z, it changes the thickness, so we don't really need to change the Z all that much. But our X, we do need to. So imagine it's completely blocking off the gap. Now, if I press play now and go for it, exists. Instead, if we tick this is trigger, you won't be able to collide with it. It's actually going to trigger something in the game to say you've completed the checkpoint. Now that looks a little bit weird going through a solid brick wall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new material, and I'm going to call it checkpoint, caps lock off, checkpoint material. And in the colour part here, I can change to whichever colour I want. Let's make them green. And I'm going to drag it onto here. But still, you can't see through it. We've got red, green and blue here. If I move this one down, alpha, this is the transparency. Let's move it down so it's quite transparent. And now we need to do the rendering mode as transparent. So we've got the rendering mode as transparent and the albedo, the actual colour, some transparency in that. And you'll see that you can see through. Now the reason I've done it down here as a material is so we can use that see-through material again and again. So now we're driving up to it, we can see through. You may want to make it more transparent, less transparent. That's going to be perfectly fine for a checkpoint. And what we need is we're going to have 3 checkpoints and a finish line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this checkpoint. Cube checkpoint, just checkpoint. I'm going to turn this into a prefab. I've dragged it down here. And now it's a prefab, I can drag them back onto the scene. So let's put one here. Make sure it is wide enough, because if it doesn't reach the edges, people go around the edges of it. Too far. There we go. 2. Another checkpoint in around here. 3rd checkpoint. That should be fine. And then finally, we need one last checkpoint as finish. So let's drag it onto there. Make that one nice and wide, because it's going off the edge of the map, so that's fine. So we've got all of these different checkpoints, 1, 2, 3 and 4, or 0, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to name them, at least the finish I'm definitely going to name. Finish line, checkpoint 3, checkpoint 2, and checkpoint 1. Now, at the moment, the game knows these are triggers, know they're checkpoints, doesn't know what to do with them. But even more specifically, it can't tell them apart, because at the moment they're all tagged as untag. And we need to give them individual tags. So if you go to add tag and press plus, you can put in some new tags. You give a name and click save. Now I've got in 5 here, ignore the bottom one, checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, checkpoint 3, and finish. Make sure you type these with the same capitalization. So click on plus, type in checkpoint 1, and then save. And so you've done 1, 2, 3, and finish. Finish does not have a capital letter. And then what I'm going to do is checkpoint 1, I'm going to tag it as checkpoint 1. Checkpoint 2, I'm going to check checkpoint 2. Checkpoint 3, tag as checkpoint 3. And checkpoint 4, or so the finish, I'm going to tag as this finish. Not this first one, this one down here. You probably could use this one, but for our coding that we've got, we'll use this one here. And that's the basics of how to get your checkpoints in and the game knowing the checkpoints are there. Next, we're going to make it do something when we hit the checkpoints, but that's the end of this video for now.